Splatoon 3 is dying! Nobody's playing it anymore, the game's absolutely terrible, and Nogami is printing out obituaries for it as we speak! Okay, that is, you know, just mildly untrue, but Splatoon 3 is in a pretty weird spot right now. From the talk that I've been seeing around the game, there are two types of people. There's the demographic that plays the game nearly every day, getting better and better, collecting badges like they're part of the Boy Scouts, and racking up ungodly hours. Oh my god, please go outside or your game cartridge is gonna beat you with your drawing tablet. And the second demographic is the group that only picks up the game when a Splatfest happens to assert that they would catch a grenade for their favorite idol. There's always gonna be players in the second demographic, but it feels like more and more people from the first demographic are sliding into that group without people flowing in to take their place. Side Order looks like it'll temporarily reverse that and possibly propel Splatoon 3 to new heights like the Octo expansion did with Splatoon 2. So I want to discuss what they could be doing to make that happen. And if they haven't yet, hey, maybe they can throw it in last minute. I don't know how much more they can do for it. It's probably already done and sitting in the closet until the 22nd like a Christmas present, but you never know. Number 1, using Octo expansion secret ingredient. Now I'm not saying the campaign should be Octo expansion again. Octo expansion was great, and the Alterna portion of Splatoon 3 single player served as a nice encore for people who enjoyed it, but now it's time for the devs to try other things. What I mean is capturing the essence of what made Octo expansion so great, the difficulty of the level. Back in 2018 when Octo expansion was released and people were going through their first playthroughs, this is what most people were talking about at that time. God dang, this Octo expansion is actually pretty tough. I know, man. Did you end up beating a level called Girl Power Station? Barely. Having all those octolings thrown at you was insane. I got so frustrated I just needed to pause the game and pace around the house for a hot minute. Pff, that's nothing. I got so mad I threw my sister down a flight of stairs. Dang! Wait, huh? The thing that got so many people into talking about the Octo expansion was the difficulty previously not seen in the Splatoon franchise. It was a breath of fresh air that got people's attention, and thus everyone and their mom wanted to give it a shot, even if it did result in a broken monitor by the end of it. So what Side Order can do, and already is doing from what we've seen in the trailer, is make the player struggle through however many floors the Spire of Order has. That's one thing that a lot of people have been asking to see in the DLC too. Since it's Nintendo, there will probably be an easier way out for newer players, but the hardcore fans can go straight for the hardest difficulty. It could be similar to Smash, where the game will look at the levels you beat as well as how well you beat them, and with that, determine how difficult the bosses are. If you stay casual, then you'll get the most basic form of the boss, and if you go hardcore, then at the final area, your switch will start expelling red smoke, and an inverted pentagram will appear on the door to your room. Now with the Octo expansion, everyone experienced the same levels, coded to play the same way. But if the campaign ends up being like a roguelike or a roguelite, like many suspect it to be, that has procedurally generated levels, everyone will have their own experience that they get to share with other players. Each person will have a different set of enemy mobs to take down and different methods by which to do so. That'll make outsiders looking in want to experience the campaign for themselves, since looking the levels up online will only give you a small piece of what the campaign could throw at you. This can get more people talking about the franchise than Octo expansion ever could. And speaking of that roguelike aspect, that gets into my second point. Number 2, making that sucker addicting. Nintendo has already mentioned that they want the DLC to be heavily replayable, so if it does end up resembling a roguelike, the procedurally generated levels can contribute to that. In all Splatoon campaigns, if you beat a level once, then you've seen almost all that level can throw at you. There may be a couple movement or attack patterns you might have missed, but that'll be about it. Even the hardest Octo expansion will start to get stale when people thoroughly figure them out. It basically goes like this. Okay, this is gonna be the one. I can feel it. I've practiced for a couple rounds and now I'm ready to complete this course. I know how to avoid these things now. Yes, finally! My first time beating this level. I'm so happy! Alright, let's try this level one more time. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. That makes things easier. And got it. I don't know what was so hard before, actually. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. Ah! In Side Order, you'll need to play the campaign many times over to feel like you've got a general idea of what's going on, and that's without the player adding self-imposed challenges. This can give players something else to do in Splatoon 3 alongside the other modes. Now, talking about replayability in Splatoon up to this point is pretty funny. In Splatoon 1 and 2, we were all complaining about how there wasn't enough to work for in the game. When people got to a rank they were satisfied with and Sam running rank battles, there wasn't much left for them to get besides their next prestige level. Some people even had max money in the games with all the weapons and clothes purchased with nothing else to spend it on. So when the devs were making Splatoon 3, they wanted to ensure no one ever uttered the words, "There's nothing to do in this game," ever again. They added stickers for main and special weapons, collectibles that you can buy for your locker, and even a gacha machine to throw all your money at just to get tickets like this is Chuck E. Cheese. The time to get a golden badge on just one weapon takes you around 70 hours, and for all of them it takes around a lot of time. You fight a king salmon once every half hour more or less, and you only get gold scales if you prayed that day, meaning it takes forever to get the things that you want from Grizzco. It takes forever to get the nicknames that you want in the game. I'm still looking for the paradigm name 513 days after the game came out, and all that's ignoring the OG time sink of needing to go up 10 levels just to play Anarchy Battles if Splatoon 3 is your first Splatoon game. Yeah, there is a lot to do. So Side Order will give players a different type of replayability that isn't centered around locking them in a room for a week and only letting them out when they 5-starred custom GooTuber. It'll instead make the player curious and want to sink in tons of hours to see what the campaign can generate. And if it does give you rewards for the multiplayer, hopefully it won't be as stingy with doing so like some of the things I previously mentioned. That way it's something the player wants to do instead of something the player feels they have to do. Also, in case it just sounds like I bombastically despise Splatoon 3's system, I don't. It's a step in the right direction and you aren't required to do all of these things unless you're an extremely masochistic completionist. I just think at times the rewards can feel overwhelming and out of reach for more casual fans. You can delete that comment you were about to leave on that matter now. Thank you. And number 3, cool character interactions. Now please correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that a lot of roguelikes don't put too much emphasis on story and characters. But it would be a great thing to put in for the fans. At the time of writing this, we've seen Pearl, Deadfish, Marina, well, still shots of Marina staring off into the distance like she's watching the sun explode, and possibly Agent 4 being controlled by someone. Now I had tons of people bring up that they wanted specific characters to show up and see how they would interact with one another. Some wanted to see Marina regress into the villain role, some wanted to see how she and Octo would interact since they go back a long time, and some people won't sleep until they figure out the social security number of whoever or whatever this is. But the common theme was people wanting to see their favorite characters used in dynamic ways. Side Order seems to be based on Splatoon 2's characters in case the ones already shown, the theme of the campaign, and the release date didn't give it away. So these interactions can serve as one big love letter for those who are fans of that game. Cutscenes and lore drops are a net positive for every type of Splatoon player, but those who have really grown to love the characters really get the most out of them. People who just rarely play Splatoon are like, wow, this is a very touching scene. This DLC was very nice. Meanwhile, people who live and breed Splatoon are like, oh my god, look at them, I'm getting their wedding clothes ready, yes! Yeah! Yeah, very different reactions. So getting a bunch of cool scenes where you get to see the story behind Side Order and the gang gathering around to fight Tardar, Tony Kensa, or wherever the villain controlling Agent 4 is, will be very awesome for longtime fans to see. Overall, if Side Order has a nice difficulty level, is replayable in ways that doesn't feel overwhelming, and at least has decent interactions between Splatoon 2's cast of characters, it can bring a new swath of players onto Splatoon 3, many of whom can leak into Turf War, Ranked, Table Turf, and Salmon, and greatly expand the fan base. Say what you want about some of the questionable decisions the devs make, we've all seen that they have more than what it takes to make some fire single-player experiences. Let me know what you're most looking forward to in Side Order in the comments below. And since we were just talking about Splatoon 2's cast of characters, check out the video on screen now where I talk about who of them could be the true villain of Side Order. I'll see you all next time.